Hi, welcome to my channel, Organized with Joy. I'm Joy and I want to inspire you to get organized. In today's video, I'm actually at a client's house. This client is also a friend, and so she let me record the process of making over her pantry, and I wanted to share that with you. These are some before shots of what her pantry looked like when I started the project.
Alone in my apartment, I should have seen the warning.
I'm starting this process by removing everything from the top 2 shelves, and the reason why I'm only doing the top 2 shelves on this day is because we were having trouble gathering all of the organizing supplies, so we only had organizing baskets for the top 2 shelves at first, and she really wanted to get the project going, and I thought it was a great idea so that we could see how this sort of organization system functioned for her, and then she could decide for sure if she wanted to do that throughout her pantry. Her pantry was extremely deep, and she also had several broad categories of items, and so we started this project with the top 2 shelves and using large organizing bins to organize everything into individual categories. As you probably know, whenever I organize a space, I always like to clean it really good before I replace anything back into the space. And I was just using whatever cleaning product she had on hand, and so that is what I'm doing here. Before I started this project, I had a discussion with her about what she wanted, and I did show her my pantry. And if you have seen my recent pantry makeover, I have these white plastic bins in my pantry as well. I purchased them from the Container Store, and I personally really love them. I feel like they're good quality for the price. They're very cost effective compared to some other organizing bins that are out there, but yet it's still really good quality. She did really like these white bins. She was a little bit concerned about using them throughout her entire pantry, but she knew the top 2 shelves, it would be okay to have white bins instead of translucent or clear bins. She just thought in the remainder of her pantry she might want to be able to see things a little bit better. So you'll see later on in the video what we end up purchasing for the rest of the pantry.
Just a sucker for a happy ending.
On this day, we didn't have our labels yet, and so I was just using some masking tape and a Sharpie to write what was in each bin. That way, over the next few days or weeks before we could finish the process, her family would know what was in those bins.
I call home. You are the fire warm in my night. With you I'll stay till the morning light. This is where I call home. This is where I call home. Your love is like no other. Your love is where I feel alive. My safety and my shelter. Your love is my.
This bin right here is the treat bin, and when I came back to finish out this process, she actually told me that her kids were eating less treats in spite of the fact that this bin was labeled treats. Apparently, because it was in this white box, it wasn't visible. They didn't see them every time they opened the pantry, and we also chose to put those on the top shelf, and apparently that helped with curbing her children eating treats.
You are the current pulling me close. This is where I call home. This is where I call home.
Sometimes throughout this video, you might see me arrange and rearrange the bins, and that's just kind of the process that I go through. That's how I work. I just try to see what fits and what might work in each category, and I sometimes have to do a little bit of maneuvering around and shifting things to try to get the perfect setup that's most efficient.
I'll always stay here by your side, my safety and my shelter. Your love is my home. In the sun or rain, in the joy or pain, you will be my home, yeah. In the dark or light, through the heart.
And here is what it was looking like at the end of the first day. Like I mentioned, those labels are just temporary, just so they know what's in there until we get the permanent labels. This was on another day, maybe you can tell by the outfit change, but we had finally found bins that would work for her in this space, and we had come up with a plan for the rest of the pantry. So here I'm just removing everything from this shelf, and the way I decided to do it, just because of counter space and just staying out of her family's way, I decided to just do it shelf by shelf instead of removing everything at once. And she pretty much did have everything on each shelf that I was going to keep on those shelves, with just a few things that I had to shift around. But here I'm just working on all the cans, and I'll show you what I do here in a minute.
Your love is my
This pantry is very deep, and so we kind of had to get creative on how to use the space efficiently. And after talking to her, we decided to get these 3-tiered stands for the very back of the pantry, and that would be where we housed all of the back stock of her canned items. And then she did have some Lazy Susans that she was already using to try to organize the space, and we will just put the Lazy Susans in front of the tiered stands, and that would be just for the cans that she could get to on a daily basis, and then she will have to replace those cans once she runs out of the cans on the Lazy Susan.
bright colors, yeah. When I'm down, when I'm dry, no one else. I would choose you over and over. I would choose you over and over. I would choose you over and over again.
As always, I do a lot of arranging and rearranging just to try to find the most efficient setup. And unfortunately, I do not always organize like the home edit by the color of the rainbow. I do think it looks beautiful, but I think it makes more sense to organize things by like category. So for instance, all the different types of beans together, all the different types of soups together, etc. And so that is kind of how I organized this space for her.
When I'm dry, my cup, no one else, my love, no one, my love. I would choose you over and over. I would choose you over and over. I would choose you over and over again, again. And after all we've been through, there's no one else for me but you. I would choose you over and over again.
If you're new to my channel, welcome and thank you for checking out my video today. I hope that it gives you some motivation or inspiration to organize or clean a space in your home. I do a lot of videos related to cleaning, organizing, and decluttering. And whenever I can record in a client's home, I always love to share that with you so you have new and fresh content. But if you are new or not yet subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to consider subscribing today. As you might be able to see here, she chose some bins identical to the ones that we had on the top two shelves, which were white, but these were more translucent so you could see through them. We did still make labels for these bins in spite of the fact that she could see through them and see what was in them. It just helps her family to keep everything organized. But these bins ended up working out really well for her space. I always love to hear from y'all in the comments, so if there is a space that you would love to see me organize, let me know down in the comments and I will try to make that happen. Whether it's in my home or a client's home or friend's home, perhaps I can come up with a way that I can create content that is beneficial for you. beginning to put the boxes in place just to see what will fit and what makes sense. But again, I will probably do some rearranging until I get the perfect setup that I think is most efficient for this client.
When we were young, we burned like summer suns.
I love these bins that we found to store her loose spices and also her spice packets. The loose spices are something that she'll buy in the bulk section, and she doesn't want to decant them into smaller spice jars. So these bins work really well just to house all of those spices.
You and I, we have found what we've been missing. You and I, it feels like we're finally living. We are wide awake, it's all so clear. The dreams we held are standing here. You and I, we have found what we've been missing.
And now I am working on the very bottom shelf, and as you'll see on the far left there, she has a very large wooden Lazy Susan with some oils and vinegars on it. And I decided to just go ahead and leave that organized as it was. It seemed to be working well, and so I'll just finish up this section by adding a few more boxes here, but then keeping that Lazy Susan for those other products.
Our song undefined, our world alive. You and I, we found what we've been missing. You and I, it feels like we're finally living. We are wide awake, it's all so clear. The dreams we held are standing here.
And here you're going to get a look at a real life moment of a professional organizer, just standing back and looking at the space and thinking about what might work. I frequently do that. It was sped up here, so it looked like I wasn't standing there for long, but I was thinking.
We have found what we've been missing. You and I, it feels like we're finally living. We are wide awake, it's all so clear.
Lastly, I just needed to make labels, and she had purchased these labels that were like plastic sleeves that you adhere to the boxes, and then you just write whatever you want on the labels. And she actually liked my handwriting, and so she said to just go ahead and write the labels out myself. So since she was happy with that, I just went ahead and did it that way.
We are wide awake, it's all so clear. The dreams we held are standing here. You and I, we found what we've been missing.
I wanted to once again show you these before shots of what her pantry looked like before I tackled it, before I showed you the after shots, so that you can get a good before and after.
second, close your eyes. Baby, do your best to concentrate your mind. Fix it upon whatever you like. I'm drunk on
And here is what her pantry looked like after. She was so thrilled with the results, and she even texted me the next day after this was complete saying, I love my pantry. So I just love it when clients have that reaction and it works out in the end.
Well, I knew that you could fix my soul. I wanna waste a while with you, baby, in the living room. I'm never gonna sleep again. You lovely creature washing over me like rain, slowly draining all the black out of my veins until my eyes shine gold as the morning. I was loved by a woman. I remember summer days, driving down to Dallas in a summer haze. Sugar, I was up when you walked off the plane, standing like an angel with your suitcase, and all I wanted was to be your guardian. I wanna waste a while with you, baby, in the living room. I'm never gonna sleep again. You lovely creature washing over me like rain, slowly draining.
Well, thank you for watching my video today. I hope it gave you some motivation or inspiration, and I would love for you to consider subscribing if you aren't already subscribed to my channel, and be sure to hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future content that I post. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.